Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be here today for this episode of Conversations with Dr. Keena. And on my platform, we talk about learning, leadership, and everything that can help you level up to live your best life. And today, I am so excited to have Coach Vett Jett here. She is going to give us some incredible knowledge about a wonderful career path that may be new to some, or some may be wondering how can they enter. But Coach Vett Jett, please introduce yourself and tell us about you and all of your offerings.
Dr. Keena, thank you so much for allowing me to be here. It means the world to me. I just enjoy talking to you every time. So thank you for letting me talk with your audience and sharing your audience with me. For those that don't know me, I am Coach Vett Jett, and I help career women navigate their career with ease. I like to tell people, I tell them the tricks and the tips and the hints that they don't tell you in corporate America to make it easy. My background, of course, is like 20 years in aviation. I'm a professor. I'm getting my doctorate in strategic leadership. And at one point in my career, all I did was Scrum. I was a Scrum master for years, as well as an agile coach. And now the big part of my business is teaching women how to become Scrum masters and then helping them get into the Scrum master role, helping them tailor their resume so that they can truly land a job and a career they want. And honestly, helping them understand the strategy of Scrum and understanding, honestly, you've all done it your whole entire life and probably never knew it. And so Scrum is a wonderful career, a great opportunity to get into leadership and honestly to level up to six figures because a lot of women don't make what they deserve. They underestimate their skills, their talents, and abilities. And so I say I'm out here giving hope to women of a better future and a brighter opportunity through Scrum and through the knowledge and experience that I've had. So that's a little bit about me.
Amazing. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
And so, can you tell us what does a Scrum Master do on a day-to-day basis? Like, what does a day in the life of a Scrum Master look like?
I get asked that question all the time. So, the day in the life of a Scrum Master really is pretty simple because you're helping the team grow. You're a servant leader, so you're facilitating the meetings. You're bringing everyone together to ensure there's collaboration, and you're filling in those gaps that maybe where one team is not communicating with another team. So you're helping the cross-functional teams communicate. And most times you can find Scrum Masters in the tech space, but don't get scared about the tech word, ladies and gentlemen. You can find Scrum Masters in everywhere, whether it's nursing, education, they're in so many spaces. But we help the work move along in the process so that we can work better together, right? And Scrum Masters, they create a level of psychological safety. So the question was, what's a day in the life? So just a quick rundown. Usually the first thing in the morning, you have your daily stand up, and that's 15 minutes where the whole team tells what they did yesterday, what they're doing today, if there's any risk, dependencies, or impediments. Because studies have shown that when teams communicate, you can identify problems and issues a lot faster. And your teams that collaborate work better together and deliver high value and high quality. And so that's what you do in the beginning of your day if you have an early morning team. Then you're really there to facilitate anything else that may happen or go on with the team. If someone needs to connect with a stakeholder, if someone needs to connect with maybe some outside resources, then bi-weekly, you have your retrospective, kind of looking back over the last 2 weeks. What did we do? Did it work well? And then sometimes you have your sprint planning, and then you have your demo. So it varies from day to day, but every day starts with a daily stand up. And honestly, you're just really there to facilitate and serve the team. And in some organizations, you may have more to do based on what the organizational need is. So, one organization, I attended tons of meetings all day long, just helping, and you help the product owners understand what the priority is in the backlog. You help the developers collaborate together, maybe just being that stand-in, right? That safe space for people to talk and collaborate. So that's the brief day in the life of a Scrum Master in a nutshell.
Sounds exciting and very busy. I think I heard you alluding to a few things as you were describing the different tasks,
Okay.
but what sort of skills do you
Mhm.
think a person needs if they wanted to transition into a Scrum Master? And are there certain backgrounds that maybe lend itself better for this type of work?
Okay, that's a good question. So there's no limitation as far as the background, right? Everyone can be a scrum master. What I tell people, the thing that you have to have the most of is a growth mindset, because agile is about a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. If you have the growth mindset, you will be the best scrum master ever. Now, of course, are there project management tools that you need to learn? Of course, like Jira, Trello, Confluence, and then you have your electric whiteboard, your collaboration tools such as Mural, and like Lucid Chart. So learning those skills can be acquired, right? Watch a few videos, come to my workshop, just do some things to hone those skills. But as far as background, you utilize what you have in your toolkit already to make you really good for the job. So if you've been a nurse, you've done Scrum before, whether you had to be the one that was in charge of running the whole shift, right? And you had to look at, what charts are we doing today? Or whether you're a teacher, you had to create lesson plans, then you will understand how to just navigate through a process flow, right? Or if you were in aviation like I was, right? And you're looking at how are we going to get these planes out in a timely fashion because you're planning for it. So there's really no stipulations on background. You use your natural skills and ability to help you succeed in the role.
Amazing. Okay. And you mentioned your workshop, and I was wondering if you could tell people a little bit more about your offering. What does your program look like, and how does it differ from some of the other Scrum
Oh,
workshops that are available?
that is a good question. And I would say the main thing that differs from my workshop and your traditional, where you're going to get your certification, I give a certificate. And in the workshop, I take you the behind the scenes look to get you ready for day one. So I'm not just, drilling you down with the book and the theory. We're actually doing hands-on practical experience so that for day one, you're ready. You're ready to pull up that Jira board. You're ready to run your daily scrum. You're ready to talk through your retrospective. And so that you don't just have the information or the knowledge or the certification without having actual experience. So I run it just like a Scrum team, and I have developers. So women have been in my class, like, I'm not a developer. I don't know what to do. Exactly. Because that's exactly how your team is going to be. And so I let them take turns being the Scrum master, being the developer, and honestly being comfortable with being uncomfortable. So I do it over a 3-day life cycle, right? And we do 3 hours each day, where really we first day we're building on the principles of Scrum, the mindset of Scrum. Then we're going into more hands-on practical experience. Then we're putting it all together and the fog is finally kind of clearing, and we have more hands-on, more practical, breaking out in groups. And honestly, we get to have an opportunity to build a community with one another, just talking and just dialoguing with one another to meet people we've never met before. And we have hundreds of women in our program right now, in our community, learning and growing together. So just a 3-day workshop, and you get a certificate. You get to put on LinkedIn, whatever, wherever else you put your certificates, and shout it out because you'll have the experience.
That sounds excellent. And so I know that you mentioned your workshop is for women. Is it exclusively for women,
You,
or
it's not
is
right. It can be for men too. We In my first class, I had a man, and we treated him just like our cousin and our brother. So I don't exclude where men can't join the workshop. It's just my audience. Usually, my avatar, my target audience is women, just because I want us to grow. But I coach and I can speak into men and what they need as well. So no, it's not just exclusively for women, but we do talk girl talk. So just so you know, we talk girl talk.
Oh, that sounds amazing. And thank you. I see we've got some people watching. If anybody has any questions or comments for Coach Vett, please feel free to put them in the chat so that we can make sure to relay them. So I was wondering, how can someone actually, let me take a step back. You mentioned that your program is 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
So three hours per day.
Mm-hmm.
And so is it at 3 days and then you're prepared to then apply for jobs?
You are. So you're semi, right? Because the world that we're living in and just the market that we're in, the days, I don't know if you remember when you just have a great resume and you just get the job you apply for? Well, those days are gone,
Right.
unfortunately. So now we're in the day where you have to have a tailored resume for your particular job. So now you have the knowledge, then you need to get a tailored resume for the Scrum role so that you have the opportunity to land the job. And that's what we do as well. I do tailored resumes and we go over your LinkedIn. So you're going to need to refine your LinkedIn to make sure it resonates right with recruiters and just like is just stand out as far as the Scrum role. And then you come to us and get a tailored resume so that you can have the knowledge and the skills displayed there on your resume. And then I would say you're ready to apply. So most definitely.
Okay. So what is a way that someone can make themselves stand out as an
Mm,
applicant, especially maybe somebody who's coming from a less traditional role? So maybe someone who is making that transition from maybe nursing to Scrum or being an educator and coming in. Are there any tips or any things that they can maybe anything that they can do to make them resonate with the hiring manager a bit more?
Most definitely. I would say really accentuating and bringing to light, highlighting the Scrum characteristics, the Scrum mindset, using words like agile, using words like servant leader, using words like team and collaboration in your resume as well as on your LinkedIn. And then, of course, having the certification or the certificate from myself or from, one of like Scrum Alliance or SAFE or I can the other name gets away from me right now. I'll think it's going to come back in a minute. But just having that certification and being able to weave in the agile terminology throughout your resume and throughout your LinkedIn to show that you are a Scrum Master even without the title.
That makes a lot of
Scrum.org.
sense. And
Scrum.org. There we go.
oh, okay, okay. And I'm hearing you say a lot of different terms with leadership, servant leader, agile. And I know that you are also a leadership expert. And am I correct of those? Is that what your doctoral studies are in as well?
It is. It's
Leadership?
what my homework is. Yes. Yes. I'm getting my doctorate in strategic leadership. So yes, I would say I am proficient in leadership, most definitely. That's my love and passion and my skill set.
Absolutely. Okay. And so do you feel that your work as a Scrum Master led you to that love of leadership, or was it kind of a co-occurring situation?
It was a co-occurring situation, is what I would say, because I've always loved leadership. Because I was in the military, I've always held different leadership positions. When I was in aviation, anywhere I've been, I've always gotten to the leadership level. So it's always just been a love and passion for me. What resonated when it comes to agile and Scrum in leadership is because it's people first type of leadership. And I wrote a paper on agile leadership. There is a thing called agile leadership, and a lot of leaders have no idea what that style of leadership is where it's holding very loosely to the plan, letting people be empowered over their own work, and you releasing the dictatorship of leadership, right? And you're really collaborating. It's more of a collaborative effort, which has been found to be very effective in giving people the voice when it comes to their work and when it comes to leadership. So, I would say those two, they go hand in hand, because even when I was studying to become an agile coach, you have the 5 phases of team development. And of course, in my course that I was taking for my doctoral program is how to build effective teams. And of course, there again, we're looking at the five, phases of a team development. So they go hand in hand with one another.
Wow. So, what are some of the most common leadership challenges that you
Mm,
see in the workplace, and how can one overcome them?
that is interesting. I would say the leadership challenge I see in the workplace is leaders not leading from the heart, right? And I find that leaders have a hard time with leading from the heart and enforcing the standard or the SOP. And you could do both in parallel. I was in a meeting one time and it so disturbed me. I heard someone say, "Oh, they're just leading with their heart." And so I had a sidebar conversation with the senior leader. I said, people are supposed to lead with their heart. And I said, I'm concerned with a junior leader that doesn't understand that you should be leading with the heart and you can enforce the standard. They go both, because if a leader leads from the heart, you care about the people, you plan for the people, you plan for their development, you plan for their growth, you have the right number of people in the right place. Oh, and by the way, you ensure that the right people are in the right seat so that they can be successful. Then at the same time, you're implementing the standard. You're holding a high standard so that they hold themselves to a high standard. And then what happens in the middle is that the work gets done. And people that are cared for in their heart, they will do the work. They will outperform any team. But a lot of times I don't see that going together very well. And so you say, how do you overcome that? And that's a challenge, right? You can do it a few ways, but it's a very delicate situation because you're dealing with people, you're dealing with egos, you're dealing with senior leaders and titles and roles and things like that. You can really mentor up, or you yourself can grow and look for opportunities to implement what you've learned. And so you have to decide which pathway you're going to take. If you have I have two really, really good leaders. When I think about it, there was like three good leaders that we were in a reciprocal relationship, that they learned from me and I learned from them. And so as we grew as a team, we were able to learn from one another, and it reduced the blind spots that we've had, so in order to navigate that, you had to be in the right culture. Finding the right culture is key that fits you and what you want. Either lead, mentoring up, or navigating to a place that truly aligns with your own personal values. That's what I say.
And when you say mentoring up, first of all, thank you for that comprehensive answer. And I'm wondering, with mentoring up, can you explain that terminology a little bit? Like, I guess I'm wondering for myself, does that does that refer to, like, if you're trying to rise, getting a mentor? Or sorry, can you
Mm.
clarify that meaning?
Most definitely. I would say that if you have a leader that you see may be able to grow in certain aspects, being a mentor to that leader, even though they're above you. And most times that just simply looks like developing a relationship, developing a mutual respect and relationship for one another, that they allow the space and opportunity for you to speak into their life and then to speak into the growth moments and opportunities. And that's where the agile leadership comes in, where you understand it's a shared experience. Now you have to cultivate that relationship. It's a true relationship, and it doesn't just happen overnight. It happens over time. Like I said, there's probably three or four I can count that have been like that, because most times that relationship can be a little sticky, depending on what type of culture you're in. If it's very hierarchical, or it's a culture that's very collaborative, that's why I said you have to look at the culture and your values and what fits you the best. So that's why I say by mentoring up, because just because someone has a higher title than you does not mean they know more than you. They could just have a higher title. That doesn't mean they're not equivalent. They could be vastly different. Who knows how they got to that role or that level. So don't assume that the higher title means they have more knowledge. You may have more knowledge based on what you've been through and what you've gone through.
Absolutely. And that is amazing. And I think you bring up a very good point about how you can exude leadership and take on that mentorship role even without necessarily having the formal leadership title. And I think
Exactly.
that's really amazing. And
Exactly.
you I love all of the points that you made. Everything that you just said really did
Thank
resonate
you.
very well. Okay. And so if you have someone that wants to uh, wants to pursue leadership roles, because I know in the past we've spoken about trying to encourage women to see themselves in those leadership positions, maybe director level, VP, C-suite. What skills, or what would you say, maybe not necessarily even skills, what would
Okay.
you say would be something that they should work on, or a focus that
Mm.
maybe they should have if they want to try to track themselves for that?
That's a good question. So I recommend the three C's. I teach a system called the three C's to success. They're courage, confidence, and competence. You have to have the courage to step into those roles, right? You have to have the confidence, which is that internal dialogue with yourself to step into that role. And then you have to build your competence, right? You build your competence truly by getting educated in different ways. So a lot of times people say, well, but I don't have the money to go back to school. I can't go back to school. Well, we're living the age, one, of AI, two, of certifications on every corner, and three, workshops. That's why I built my workshop. So women can get educated and have another skill, another competency that they can hold on to and gravitate to. So when you look at those three C's to success of the courage, confidence, and competence, together that package will build your skills, because you can't have one without the other. And I always tell my clients, I just had a client earlier today, and I looked at her. We were talking, and she was telling me about the Scrum Master role, how she wanted to do it, and I was like, I was really confused. And so I was like, you got what? I'm like, you do what? I'm like, and your degree is in what? And she's like, yeah, she's talking. I'm like, and you want to do what? And so I said, what you need to do is be somebody's director. What you need to do is be somebody's director in HR. And I said, you could do what you want to do, but what you need to do is be somebody's director. And so, she's like, well, you bet I've never tried that before. I said, so this is what you do. You build up that confidence by applying. You build up that
Mhm.
confidence, that muscle. Confidence is a muscle that is built. Sometimes it's transferable, sometimes it's not, right? We have to build our confidence by doing things that scare us. A lot of times people are scared to apply for those roles because they say, I don't know enough. I've never done it before. What if they don't hire me? My point to that is, if you don't have it now and they say no, did you lose anything? No, not really. But if you apply for it and they say yes, what do you have? You probably have a really good person that has a really good heart in a powerful position that can reshape the world. And I am a firm believer that more good people need to have power in order to change the world and in order to ensure that our world has great leaders. And I recommend, I don't know if it's going to, because I have my background. Oh, it might show it. One, inner
Good,
excellence,
yeah.
right? That is for your confidence. That builds your confidence because it's going to change your mindset. And then for those that say, well, I've never been in those roles, you need to get the chief exec. Oh, it's not going to show up there. The Chief Executive Operating System, by Joel Trammell, Trammell. This book right here, that book will get you right, because he tells all the secrets to the C suite that you never knew existed. And he lays it out perfectly. So on day one, you're ready to step into your higher level of leadership. So that's what I would recommend.
Oh, that is amazing. And I will be purchasing those books. They look
You have
like
to get
excellent
them.
reads.
Oh my
And
God.
I I just love the role that you've taken in terms of pouring into women and other individuals. I know you don't necessarily only do it for women, but it's so important to have that person that is
Mhm.
willing to say, you should be shooting higher. You should be aiming higher. Like
Yeah,
you are qualified for this, because sometimes we do have a tendency to doubt ourselves, and I
most
can
definitely.
imagine that the people in your coaching community are definitely benefiting a lot from that.
Thank
So
you. And I would even say
yes.
that it's not even most times that we doubt ourselves. I've talked to hundreds of women, and it's usually 8 out of 10 women that doubt themselves. And so that's a large number. And it pains me to see that women doubt themselves so much. I've heard it said that sometimes we overestimate our skills and abilities. And I would say for women, we vastly underestimate our skills and abilities. And we sell ourselves short in so many aspects, right? So I think it's incumbent upon us to give ourselves hope again, and honestly, to give ourselves permission to go higher. And a lot of times it's through trauma, pain, toxic environments that we have undersold ourselves, or we kind of, shrunk ourselves and been in the background. But I think we as women need to step up and step into these roles, because we can really change the world together.
Definitely. And so I'm thinking about the person that may be a highly skilled individual contributor,
Okay.
and they may listen to this and say, I am capable of director level, but I am capable of managing a team. And
Mm.
are there any mindset shifts or considerations that you think are necessary to make that transition from individual contributor to manager or leader of a team?
Yeah, and I would say it all starts with your self-talk, that I am the manager of a team. I will do this. Like, this is mine. If you want it, go get it, and don't let anything stop you. So that's the mindset shift that you have to have, that you will, you can, and you must. If it's gonna be yours, go get it. And don't let anything stop you until you get it. And then of course get knowledge along the way. If you have an opportunity to get a great mentor, get a great mentor. But really I would say internally speak. This is what I always tell my clients. Before you get off, I tell them get off before they get off the phone with me, right? You need you 5 strong affirmations. Five, not like I'm great, I'm wonderful, I'm awesome, not that. Really strong affirmations that you can say to yourself for 21 days. So psychologically, you can transform how you think, how you feel, and how you see yourself. And watch what it will do for you. I have some people say, "Well, I don't believe in affirmations." Well, why not? You're saying something to yourself. Like, there's something that's going on in your mind, right? Why not empower yourself with positive, strong affirmations that will move the needle in the right direction?
That is amazing advice. And I know we can all benefit from some positive affirmations. I know so
Yeah.
much starts with mindset.
Hmm.
So I know that we are coming up on the 30-minute mark, but I'm just wondering, are there any emerging trends in agile scrum that people maybe should be aware of as they're considering moving into this field?
Yes, I would say an emerging trend right now that I knew was happening, but it's taking shape. So many things are changing. You can see a lot more blending of the Scrum Master role. That's just not pure Scrum Master roles. You can see project manager in Scrum, or product owner in Scrum, or business analyst in Scrum. So what I would say, if you have a desire to do the blended roles, then go for it, right? I mean, do what makes your heart happy. But I tell people to get in now while the getting is still good. In is like purest form before it matriculates into something different, you know? So I see a lot of companies on that trend. And so I said, you want the experience now, do it while it's still in its, I will say, in its teenage, in its adolescence, you know, before it gets to college, because it may transition. What I do see also is a lot of organizations taking on the agile mindset, because we're living in an age where our newer generations want a different type of leadership. So the old regime of leadership is slowly going away, and the new regime, the agile mindset, the growth mindset, the development mindset is really starting to take shape, which lends itself very well to agile.
Okay, so folks, you heard it here. Now is the time. Don't
Now,
wait. There won't be a better time. Now is the time to jump in. So, this has been amazing. If people want to connect with you or learn more about you, your offerings, your program, how can they find you? How can they get in touch?
most definitely. Thank you for asking that. I always tell people the easiest way, right? Because my other link is long, is www.vettjett.com. That's VETTJETT.com. That's all one word. And you can, that's my website. You can always see what I'm offering there, whether it's resume services, whether it's the Scrum Master course, and whether it's one-on-one coaching. I do one-on-one 1 hour coaching sessions. And I mean, we go with the strategy fast and hard, and like get you on the right track. And then for my Scrum Master workshop, I I don't know what I'm doing it at the end of this month or the beginning of next month, because people have wanted the Agile coaching certification, was a deeper dive into Scrum. So I'm thinking I might do the Agile coaching, but you can get on my wait list. I would love for you to get on my wait list at leadership.vettjett.com/Scrum Mastery. And that's the word Scrum is spelled incorrectly, but I haven't changed it because it's out everywhere. So it's um, SCUMMASERY, Scrum Mastery. So I just say it really fast, so it just blends together. So yeah, so you can always catch me on my website and my YouTube channel, The Vett Jett Show. You can always catch me there. I'm speaking every two. I'm trying to get on a schedule, so I'm doing it every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Okay, excellent. And I believe her two links are in the description of this video. Yes. So thank you so much. I know that you dropped some amazing gems, and everybody who tuned in definitely has some useful tools that they can use to move forward and elevate their careers to the next level. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I
Have,
really appreciate it.
all right. Have a great one. Till the next time.
Bye for now.